Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another movie review for you guys, and this one I'm going to be reviewing was the first mainstream release of January, and the first movie in January. And, I wanted to see it, but I told myself I'm not seeing it in theaters. I'm waiting for it to come on to Solar Movie. It took forever for it to come on to Solar Movie, and of course this week an HD quality version came out, and I'm like, okay, I gotta watch this movie. Because I heard this movie's unnecessary, I heard it was dumb. I mean, usually the first week of January has some awful, awful movies, and this movie was just not only is it bad, it's just unnecessary. And that movie I'm going to be reviewing is The Woman in Black, Angel of Death. And now let me talk about The Woman in Black for a second, because I did review the first movie a while ago on this channel. And I liked the first movie. I thought Daniel Radcliffe was really well cast in that role. I thought it was a good story. I thought it actually had some genuinely creepy moments. It had this real eeriness to it, and one of the things I love about the first film that it did really well is that it didn't do a lot of jump scares. It really didn't. It did do some, but it had a lot of creepiness to it, and it actually was a really well done film. When I heard this movie was coming, I'm just like, why? Because if you guys don't know, in the first one, spoiler alert, Daniel Radcliffe's character died, so I didn't really see the point of making a second movie. There wasn't much of more of a story to tell, and literally the only reason this movie was made was because it was a cash grab. And after seeing The Woman in Black, Angel of Death, what I think of the movie, I literally have nothing much to say about. I don't have much to say about this movie. I really don't, guys. I don't have a lot to say about this movie because I simply don't care. This is not a rant because I don't care about this movie. I don't care. It's not going to have any impact on me whatsoever. I'm never going to think about it again. I'm never going to watch it again. And it just was a dumb idea. Now, I will admit the plot is good. But the problems with this movie are not so much what you think they would be. There are some actually redeemable qualities about this movie. There are some things that I think could have made this a good movie. But also, you guys have to remember, this is the first horror movie to come out since The Babadook. So, it's really setting itself up for a very shitty experience at the movies. If I was seeing this in theaters, oh yeah, I totally could have seen myself ranting on this. But because I didn't watch it in theaters, and because I just watched it free on Solar Movie, I don't really have to rant a lot about it, but I do have a lot of stuff to say about this movie. Let's get to the plot of The Woman in Black, Angel of Death. Basically, the plot is, during World War II, there's this girl, Eve Perkins, who she has all these school children, and the school's headmistress wants to evacuate them to the countryside of Creve and Grifford, and these kids are basically ones that, they're basically, these, like, airplanes, basically, that, they want to get the kids away from all of the combat and things like that going on in World War II. And they are awakened to this really creepy house and everything, and they don't think anything of it. And eventually there's this woman there that starts haunting them, and just a lot of crazy shit happens, and that's basically the plot of The Woman in Black 2, Angel of Death. Yeah, I know, it's not that good of a plot, and it really doesn't feel like this movie had any point in being made, really. But I will say there actually are some good qualities to this movie that I really do want to talk about. I want to talk about the acting first to this movie. Because for a horror movie, and especially for a January movie, the acting's actually really good here. The acting is not bad at all. There's nobody in this movie that's giving a bad performance. In fact, I think every single actor in this movie really does have potential. And I'm going to talk about what the main problem with this movie is. The acting here, though, is really good. Phoebe Fox as Eve Perkins. Now, I will admit, every single character in this movie is so dumb and so cliche, but I'm going to get to that. But I want to talk about the acting. Phoebe Fox as Eve Parkins, she did a really good job with what she had. Now, I hated her character in the movie. I'm going to explain why. This is her character in most of the movie. Anytime that she hears a noise or something, she just goes, hello, 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 hello. Like, are you really that dumb? Like, seriously, there's nothing there's nothing good that's gonna come out of just saying hello. There's nothing good that's gonna come out of saying that. When something like that happens, you just leave. You don't, like, keep saying hello. You don't. And her character is really annoying, and she doesn't even think that, like, something weird is going on. She doesn't think that something bad's going on. She thinks it's all her imagination. Her character is just really, really dumb, but she did do a good job of what she had, I have to say. She could have given a really bad performance, and she really didn't. I thought some of her scenes were actually really good. I think she's a good actress. I think she has a lot of potential in future movies. This movie, she wasn't good in because the writing was terrible for her, but I definitely see her having a lot of potential in future movies, and I want to see what else she does. Jeremy Irvine was also really good in this movie. I don't really want to talk about anyone else except for Oakley Pendergast as Edward. I thought he was great in this movie, honestly. He is this character who, he is this mute boy and he's not talking. There's something mysterious about him. And he honestly was the most interesting character in this movie, I have to say. He doesn't have a lot of screen time, but for what he has, he is basically the main child in this movie. And the character that I cared about the most. I really thought he did a very good job in this movie, and I thought overall his character was really intriguing. You know, you don't really know why he's not speaking, and it's actually kind of creepy, definitely, and he really added this creepy factor to the movie, which I thought worked really well. I thought he honestly seemed to be giving the best performance. I definitely want to see what else this kid is going to do. Let me talk about the other problem with this movie, though. The main problem with this movie is not the acting. The directing and the writing is the problem. Because, holy shit, guys, this movie, to me, literally, here's the problem with this movie. I'm going to say right now, this did not have to be a sequel to Woman in Black. It could have just been its own thing. You could have had a movie called Angel of Death, and it would have been fine. Because, let me explain something. There's stuff in this movie that's actually really good, and there are parts where I'm watching and I'm like, why is this even a horror movie? Because this doesn't feel like a horror movie. When the movie starts out, you feel like you're just going to watch a thriller. That's what you feel like you're going to watch. You feel like you're going to watch a thriller, and that's all it really feels like. And I know it feels like for a lot of horror movies. But this movie especially, when it turned into a horror movie, I didn't buy it, and it just felt out of place. It just felt like they were doing that just because it's a January movie and they didn't know what else to do with it. So that, and plus it was Woman in Black sequel. The only thing that connects these two movies together is the Woman in Black, who, may I mind you, is barely in this movie and is not even anything. She's not intimidating at all. You don't care about her. Like, she was legitimately creepy in the first movie, and this one, I just didn't care about the Woman in Black. I really didn't. I thought she was dumb, and I did not care about her character. I really didn't. I cared much more about Edward's storyline than I did about the Woman in Black, and I think the directing by Tom Harper was completely the wrong direction, because there are scenes in this movie that are not horror scenes, and they're genuinely sweet. There are some very sweet scenes in this movie. If this movie would have been more of a thriller, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. And if it wouldn't have been a sequel to Woman in Black, Angel of Death, then I think it could have been actually a really good movie. I think the problem was that because it was a sequel, that it's obviously going to get shit on because it has nothing to do with the first movie. Plus, it feels extremely unnecessary. The other thing that Tom Harper did that I didn't like is that this movie, it's not a smart horror movie either. It's the kind of horror movie that just has jump scare after jump scare after jump scare. There's literally a scene, and a lot of people are talking about this. Eve is asleep, and a bird hits a window, and it startles her. That's how smart this movie is. A bird hits a window. Seriously, guys, a bird. Just a bird. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. But it didn't really bother me because I wasn't invested in this movie. Because I'm going to be honest, guys, the screenplay to this movie is slow as molasses. It really is. And it's boring. It's boring because, one, you have good actors, but you have terrible characters. Because, as I said, every single character in this movie is so cliched and so dumb. There's a relationship between two characters in this movie, Eve and Harry. You see it coming from a mile away. The second that these two meet, I'm like, they're gonna be in a relationship. You just can tell. It's very cliched. It's nothing you haven't seen before, and just the screenplay was so slow, and I really did not give a shit about any. I'm going to talk about the scenes I cared about. Scenes where kids were talking. Those scenes I liked. And scenes where she's talking about Edward. Scenes involving Edward's character. Those were the scenes I liked. Any other scenes in the movie were boring. I didn't care about most of the scenes in this movie. I was bored, and especially the second half of this movie. The first half of this movie was actually okay. It wasn't terrible, and I'm like, I'm actually kind of enjoying this. But then the second half of this movie slowed down completely to the point where I almost fell asleep. That's how boring this movie was. It really is just very boring, and it's unfortunate because it could have been a really good idea, but it's just really boring, and it's unfortunate. I really want to talk about cinematography because, oh my god, guys, cinematography is really good here for a lot of scenes. It's really well shot at points because you do feel like you're in the 1940s. You definitely feel like you're in that time period. But I really want to talk about the lighting here. Pretty much the worst lighting I've seen all year. any scene that's in the dark, you can't see shit. I'm being honest, guys. I could not see shit that was in the dark. There are scenes where they're in the dark, and literally there were parts where I thought I paused this movie, or that I refreshed the page because I couldn't see anything. And it wasn't that. It was, and it's not even that I was watching on a computer. It's just that badly filmed, and this is an HD quality version, and it's in horrible, horrible lighting. You can't see anything. And even if you turn your brightness up, you're not gonna be able to see it. It's so badly shot, and it really ruined the movie for me. Because, I mean, in a horror movie, you want to have really memorable scenes, especially in the dark, and you can't see anything in this movie. You can't see any sort of, there's no sort of cinematography in the dark because you can't see anything. So, it really was annoying. I will admit the woman in black looked good overall, like, the design on her looked good. The house looked good. There were some creepy parts here and there, but cinematography was just, the dark lighting just ruined the whole thing. Now, I have talked about how this movie is boring, but I might as well mention that this movie's 98 minutes long, and yeah, that's the problem with this movie, is that, one, it's 98 minutes, and it's slow as molasses. It should not be this slow. It really is a very slow movie that really goes nowhere. It goes nowhere, and let me talk about one of the things I did not like about this movie at all, and that is the tone, as I said. The tone is all over the place for this movie. The movie is all over the place, and it never really finds what it wants to be, because the first half of this movie is like a thriller about these kids and everything, and then the movie turns into a horror movie and it starts to get really creepy, and then the movie's like, no, we're not going to do that. No, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this movie into a sweet drama, and then when they did that, I actually kind of enjoyed the movie a little bit, and I thought that was good when they did that. I thought that was good, but it didn't feel like a true horror movie. Again, there's really nothing scary about it, but then it jumps around and then it goes back to horror, and it doesn't really know what it wants to be. And the ending of this movie, I didn't care. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I didn't care really about anything that happened in this movie. I didn't care about any of the plots except for Edward's plot. As I said, that's really the only plot I cared about. I didn't care about the love story. I didn't really see any chemistry between the two leads. I really didn't see... I mean, they had chemistry, but it wasn't any characters that I cared about because they're so badly written. It's just a bunch of jump scares, and that doesn't work. When you have a bunch of jump scares in a movie, it just is like... Okay, I'm gonna be honest, guys. Some jump scares can work really well. There are some that can work well. When you have a jump scare that seems realistic, because there are some jump scares that, yeah, it could be well done. This movie doesn't have that, though. I mean, there are jump scares from, like, old horror movies, and they don't have those sound effects to them, but these just have these loud booms. I'm gonna be honest, guys, the last scene of this movie really annoyed me, because the last scene of this movie, the movie gets really sweet, and then the last scene has this one last jump scare, and is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, and probably one of the dumbest endings of the year. Just such a dumb ending. I don't know if it's supposed to show that there's supposed to be another movie, but I really hope there's not another one, and I don't think there's gonna be, because I believe this movie bombed at the box office. I don't think anybody saw it, and basically... It was really dumb, and it screams cash grab. It just does. It screams cash grab, and it made 26,000, like $26 million, and I don't think really anybody else is really gonna see it. I don't really want another Woman in Black. I didn't see the point of having this movie. But overall, guys, that's really all I have to say about this movie. Overall, guys, I'm just gonna say this right now. Don't see it. It has no impact on you. It's nothing memorable. It's nothing good either. It has some good elements to it with Edward's storyline, but it never really finds what it wants to be. And because of that, guys, I'm giving this movie a D-. I'm not giving it an F because there were some things that were really good. The acting was really good. Some of the camera work was really good. Some of the plots with Edward, those storylines, those were really good. The dynamic between Eve and Edward I liked overall. But the Woman in Black storyline just fell so short and just felt like it didn't even matter. Like, I'm gonna be honest, guys. The Woman in Black storyline is what I legitimately cared about the least. I didn't care about it whatsoever. I really did not care about the Woman in Black storyline. And it wasn't because of just how boring it was. It was because it was so badly written and we barely see the Woman in Black in this movie. And the movie's called The Woman in Black Angel of Death. It's really dumb. But overall, guys, this is my review of The Woman in Black Angel of Death. Let me know what you guys saw of this movie if you did see it. So yeah, that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of The Vampire Diaries, which I heard is an emotional one, so get ready, guys. If I cry, then I cry, and yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.